Hey yo, what's happening out there? Just a section of the Truth Talks. Another Truth Talk section. Man, it's been difficult today, guys. It's a real challenge to get these videos out to you. Where I live is a very noisy place. A lot of noise pollution, and it's really hard to find anywhere quiet where you guys can hear me. And the places where it is quiet, you can't really speak that loud and make a video, because you'd be disturbing the people around you. So it's difficult to find a place. It really is. I could do it at home, but I have noise campaigns at home from neighbors that would just aggravate me while I'm making the video. So here I am. I'm in a little kind of enclave on the side of a road that's quiet enough to make a video for you guys. And the Truth Talks today, I'm going to talk about the reality that we live in, the surveillance state that we live in here in the Republic of Ireland. And on my way here, I counted how many cameras I seen, and there was so many that I couldn't actually keep count. But there was basically, if you could imagine how far the average person could throw a baseball or a slitter or even a tennis ball, and everywhere that ball lands there's a camera. And that's the reality of where we live in Ireland. Not only one camera, but multiple cameras. So they got cameras, watching cameras, watching cameras, watching cameras. And you basically are in a surveillance state here. And I mean, I don't have nothing to hide, guys. Honestly, I know there was a time in human history, everyone has forgotten about this time, but my subconscious remembers it. I sometimes recall it in dreams. There was a time when privacy didn't exist. There was a time when your thoughts would appear to other people like speech bubbles in a comic book. So even when you didn't say things, people could still, they could see your thoughts, they could hear your thoughts. And it wasn't like one person could do it, everyone could do it. There was no privacy amongst humans at one point in time in our history. And where did the concept of privacy come from? And I believe that it came from shame. The reason why people seek privacy is because they feel some kind of shame about something about themselves that they want to hide. And so, as time progressed, as shame bloomed upon the human race, upon the human mind, we became people who wanted more. We demanded more and more privacy. You know, each one to his own cave, to his own tent or wigwam. Each one to his own lair. And they would go somewhere there was nowhere they could be watched, without windows. You know, there was no windows on the tents and the wigwams. There was no windows in the caves. People went into them because they wanted to be where other people couldn't see them. And you gotta ask yourself, why do we seek that? Why do we seek to be hidden from each other? Why do we seek to have our true selves, our true identities hidden from each other? Why do we seek privacy? Why do we need it? You know, so like everybody is basically tripping out and getting very aggravated and stressed about all these cameras and all this surveillance. Guys, I really don't give a crap. I don't give a damn. It doesn't bother me one iota. They can put a camera in my toilet bowl if they want. If they want me to dump on their lanes, I'm cool with that, bro. I have absolutely nothing to hide, guys. I have no shame. And this feeling is very liberating. It's very liberating, guys. And I wish you could all have this feeling, so that they can't stress you out by putting cameras up, because I mean that's such an easy way. If that's all it takes to ruin your day, I mean it doesn't even need to be a real camera. It can just look like a camera, and you see it and you get stressed and aggravated, and it just, if that's all it takes to ruin your day, guys, then you're just too easy, you know. You've only got yourself to blame, really. I'm not bothered by cameras and surveillance. There's nothing to hide, guys. There's nothing to hide. And if there is something that you want to hide, then you gotta address yourself about that. You gotta do some soul searching and see if that thing is really worth cutting you off from everyone else, hiding yourself. There was a verse in the Bible about a lamp. A lamp should be put on a stand for the light for everyone to see. That you don't cover a lamp with a cloth, you know, to dim its light, or put it under the table. You put it on top of the table for the light to shine, you know. So I say that to say this: we don't need all this privacy, guys. We don't need to stress about who can see us and what we're doing. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, God is watching everything. His angels watch everything. Do you really think because nobody can see you that what you're doing is hidden? There's another line in the Bible that says, everything done in darkness will come to the light. And so, all concepts of privacy, they're illusions. They're illusions that have expiry dates. And there is no privacy underneath God's viewing dome. There's no privacy, guys. Everything we do, even before cameras were invented, every single thing we do is recorded. And there's something called the Akashic Records. The Akashic Records are the records that are kept by God and His angels and His watchers of what everyone is doing at all times. And they can see through roofs, they can see through buildings, they can see through everything, caves, they can see underground, they see everything always. Nothing you ever do is hidden from the Akashic Records. Everything you ever did, or anyone ever did from the day they were born, is logged. That's the purpose of God's angels, of His watchers. You don't get away with anything. You don't get to hide anything. And this whole privacy thing, it's really just an open wound for them to poke at. And just harm us all the time with this open wound. Because if we demand privacy, if we need privacy to feel at peace, well then we're never going to be at peace, because they're never going to give us privacy. They're always going to put cameras here and there. They're always going to pay people to watch. There's always going to be somebody watching you. Always. You know, no matter what you're doing. And even if there's no one watching you, God's watching you. So, you know, I'm not happy about the whole thing about just doing things to the public without their permission, without even asking. You know, we didn't ask to have our country turned into a place that's so industrial and so commerce based that it's hard to find anywhere that you can make a video or have a phone call, because there's so much noise pollution. We didn't ask to live in a country where the distance you can throw a tennis ball, there's a camera everywhere. That's what upsets me. It's not the loss of privacy. I don't need privacy. I really don't. It's I guess it's just a violation of boundaries that is the part that upsets me, you know. I just hate the way in this country, and it seems in most countries today in the modern age, governments and rulers and corporations just do whatever they want. They do whatever they want because they know that we as a people are so disconnected from each other. We're so individualistic. We're so incapable of mobilizing any kind of force against their power that it's almost like playing a game of football, basketball, whatever, boxing, whatever sport you like. But if you could imagine playing in that sport and one of the competitors or one of the teams is consistently cheating, violating the rules, playing dirty, and the other player is constantly pointing it out to everyone else who's watching the game. And everyone else is getting all upset at this guy who doesn't respect the rules. But nobody does anything. And there's no referee. Or if there is a referee, he turns a blind eye. And that's like the society that we live in today. Governments, corporations, powers that be, they don't play by rules anymore. They don't respect rules. They don't respect laws. Because they know that we as the people are incapable of enforcing them. There was a time when the power was with the people and the governments were really terrified of the public to the degree that they would respond to the public's demands because the public was a unified force and everyone was willing to fight for their neighbor, for their fellow man, for their brother. And so there's a line in the Bible that says God is basically asking Cain, where is Abel? After Cain has killed Abel. And he asks him and he says, where is your brother Cain? Where is your brother Abel? And Cain says, he responds with a question. Am I my brother's keeper? And so that's the question that we all need to ask ourselves. Because if we are not our brother's keeper, well then our brother becomes Abel. And Abel was killed. So if people decided to be their brother's keeper, then these governments, these corporations, these powers that be would not get away with disrespecting the rules, with disrespecting people's boundaries, with violating policies and procedures, with making rules as they go along. If every man and woman decided that one question, if they asked themselves that one question and they decided to answer, yes, I am. I am my brother and my sister's keeper, and I will not let them be violated by anyone else. I will not let them be killed. And if every one person in this world decided that, overnight we would have a world where we would have a world of complete justice. We would have a world with zero injustice, zero outrage, no stress. Because every person who violated anyone else would be demonstrated to by everyone else. If they violated, everyone else would demonstrate why you don't violate. But now, everyone gets away with everything, all the time. Individuals, corporations, governments, gangs, You name it. Everyone gets away with everything now. And so we live in a world of complete injustice. We live in Cain's world. Because we've answered that question and we've said no. The overwhelming majority of us have said no. I am not my brother or my sister's keeper. So who is their keeper then? Is it God? Is God their keeper? Have you seen God come down and save someone's life in the middle of someone else trying to take theirs? Have you ever seen that? I haven't seen it. I haven't seen God or one of his angels come down and fight for anyone. I've never seen it. So if God isn't going to do it, then who is? Alright guys, I love you all. I am my brother and my sister's keeper. God bless you all. Amen.